Okay, let's dive into this. Hello everyone and welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're looking at a truly fascinating window of time. The end of August 2026 brings three distinct connected celestial shifts in the sky, and they're packed so closely together. We've got the sun moving into Virgo, Mercury shifting right behind it into early Virgo, and then wrapping the whole shebang up, a potent full moon lunar eclipse arriving in Pisces. Now individually, each of these astrological events carries some serious weight, but together, they create this deeply compelling dynamic that absolutely sets the tone for how this final stretch of the month is going to unfold. So let's unpack exactly what the source material tells us about this incredible celestial collision. So here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. First, we'll look at the converging timeline of these late August cosmic shifts. Then, we'll explore the sun moving into Virgo, followed by Mercury returning to that exact same sign. After that, we'll examine the emotional counterweight of the Pisces lunar eclipse. And finally, we'll wrap up with some highly practical guidance for navigating this week, specifically looking at that intense dialectic tension between logical Earth energy and emotional water energy.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Late August's Cosmic Shifts, a Converging Timeline. To really grasp what makes this week so unique, we kind of have to look at how rapidly things are changing. The end of the month brings a massive energetic pivot. So back on August 12th, we had the total solar eclipse in Leo, right? That kicked off this whole eclipse season with a ton of fiery, expressive energy. But as we move toward the end of the month, the dynamic completely transforms. Around August 23rd, the sun enters Virgo. And just 5 days later, on August 28th, we hit the Pisces lunar eclipse. The universe is essentially pulling us out of the heat and drama of fire and plunging us straight into a really complex mix of practical earth and emotional water.
Which leads us to Section 2. The sun moves into Virgo, the shift to precision.
We are literally pivoting from Leo's highly visible, performative fire straight into Virgo's demand for refinement and practical detail. This transition is asking us to take the raw, outward expression we just built up during Leo season and, well, actually organize it. The energy turns decidedly inward here. We move away from the stage and lock in on tending to our health, our daily habits, and practical acts of service. It's a complete 180-degree shift from performance to pure precision.
Moving right along to Section 3, Mercury returns to Virgo, finding focus. Because the sun is definitely not making this journey alone.
Right around the exact same time, Mercury is shifting into its home sign. In traditional astrological frameworks, this means the planet of communication and intellect is operating with maximum efficiency and comfort. It's like finding the absolute perfect tool for the job. It fundamentally compounds that grounded, analytical energy we just stepped into with the sun.
And this brilliantly illustrates how our entire approach to problem-solving shifts. Instead of the expressive, big-picture tone of Leo, Mercury in Virgo brings us precise thinking and highly analytical communication. This week is a remarkably favorable window for tasks that involve deep analysis, heavy editing, and fixing whatever is broken. It's an energy that wants to put absolutely everything in its proper place. And maybe actually, scratch that, definitely, finally color code that inbox.
All right, Section 4, the Pisces lunar eclipse, the emotional counterweight. Because just as we start getting everything perfectly organized and logical, the universe throws us a massive curveball. On August 28th, we experience a deep partial lunar eclipse, hitting roughly 93 to 96% coverage, so it's nearly total. In astrology, lunar eclipses act as these intense accelerators. This one tends to bring deep, sometimes overwhelming emotional material, sudden realizations, and necessary releases right up to the surface. And what adds so much gravity to this particular event is that it completes a profound, longer cycle along this exact axis that has been unfolding since late 2024.
To put that into perspective, the mathematical precision of the cosmos here is truly staggering. The moon will sit almost exactly at 4 to 5 degrees of Pisces, directly opposing the sun, which is at that exact same degree over in Virgo. For those of you tracking the astronomy, this exact opposition maximizes around 412 to 418 UTC, and it's going to be visible across Africa, Europe, the Americas, and the Eastern Pacific. It is a highly specific, flawlessly aligned opposition in the sky.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it visually illustrates the ultimate energetic clash. On one side, heavily amplified by both the Sun and Mercury, we have Virgo demanding order, strict logic, and the establishing of firm boundaries. But directly opposing it is the Pisces eclipse, which demands heavy intuition, surrender, emotional flow, and the complete dissolving of those exact same boundaries.
You literally have the ultimate need for control clashing directly with the ultimate pull toward release.
So this brings us to the core narrative tension of this entire celestial event. Traditionally, eclipses on the Virgo-Pisces axis ask this recurring, absolutely vital question. How much control is genuinely useful, and where does that instinct need to soften into trust, intuition, and release? We naturally want to organize our lives with Virgo's sharp logic, right? But Pisces reminds us that some things simply cannot be organized. They can only be felt, processed, and ultimately let go.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Practical Guidance for this week, Balancing the Scales.
So, how do we actually balance these completely opposing forces? Well, the source material offers some pretty clear guidance based on traditional astrology. Absolutely do use that Virgo emphasis to tend to your health, refine your routines, and get your life in order. But at the same time, do let emotional insights settle. If a deep need for closure surfaces thanks to the Pisces eclipse, let it be there. Don't try to push through it with pure logic. I mean, you cannot organize a Pisces eclipse into a spreadsheet no matter how hard your inner Virgo tries. And crucially, don't force immediate life-altering decisions during the highly volatile eclipse window itself.
So, the crucial point is this. Let the insight settle first, then act with clarity. That's the ultimate synthesis of these two opposing celestial forces. You allow the eclipse to bring whatever messy, profound truths it needs to bring to the surface. You sit with them, without trying to fix them right away. And then, a few days later, once the eclipse energy is passed, you take those insights and you apply Virgo's sharp clarity to actually integrate them into your life.
It's really a powerful 1-2 punch of feeling and then fixing, which leaves us with a fascinating question to ponder as we close out August 2026. What shifts in your own routine, communication, or deeper emotions will this celestial collision reveal for you? Pay close attention this week, because the contrast between your need for order and your need for emotional release is going to be absolutely impossible to ignore. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If you found this breakdown helpful, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our future explainers, where we'll keep transforming complex information into clear, structured insights. See you next time.